Good morning. My name is Dr. Zamir Mohammed. I'm Assistant Vice President, Professional Education Unit. I have the simple task of moving through the program this morning. As you're aware, we're gathered here to launch the Basic Computer Literacy and Agricultural Enterprise Training. Just some background to what this is all about. This is an arrangement between UTT/PEU, Atlantic, and communities in agricultural sector. It is also our 6th program with this relationship running for 5 consecutive years, and this is the start of the 6th one. Just some background into this relationship with Atlantic. We started this program in Point Fortin, home base, as you know, of Atlantic, for its environs around the Point Fortin area. Tremendous interest started to grow. We repeated it in successive years. And during the 3rd year, in consultation with Atlantic stakeholder community, we decided, based on the success, that this program, more people should benefit from this program. And we decided to move it national so that it was outside the realm of the radius of Point Fortin communities as well. When we moved it national, we started to host it here. And the geographic spread of the representation of participants grew overwhelmed, so much so that this is the 3rd national program and the 6th in total in the relationship with Atlantic and communities in agriculture. Just to add a little bit, to give you some idea, given the growth of the program and its attractiveness, this year we topped the largest intake to my left, all the active participants who will participate in this program. PU staff has mentioned to me that they have had to kind of draw a line a little bit in terms of the oversubscription of the levels of interest. I should also add that these participants are not just coming with an idea, they are practitioners. They are in the field, they're doing things already, and they're here to do some other things that will enhance what they're currently doing. And that's our role in the program. And throughout the program, I'll mention a couple of things that will inform this particular thing. So it's not, I have an idea, and I come to sharpen the idea. There is an idea, and it's working. Is how do we make it into a more commercial enterprise, into what it is doing, okay? Without much ado, I'd like to ask Vice President Tony, Vice President Corporate Operations at Atlantic. Vice President Tony has been a champion of this program with us. We call her the extended family of UTT, and by extension, her company as well. Her personal interests in this program and her continued sponsorship through her organization has made it possible into the 6th cycle. Okay, please welcome Vice President Tony.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mohammed. Senator the Honorable Avinash Singh, Parliamentary Secretary in the Ministry of Agriculture, Land and Fisheries. Professor Diana Rang Singh, President of UTT. Assistant Vice President, Professional Education, University of Trinidad and Tobago, Dr. Zamir Mohammed. Specially invited guests are student farmers and agricultural entrepreneurs. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It is indeed a pleasure to be with you here this morning. As Zamir pointed out, this is one of my favorite programs. Atlantic runs many different corporate social responsibility programs, but my team knows that this is one of the programs that I always insist on attending, both for the launch and the graduation. It's a favorite of mine. And I want to say that a special welcome to Senator this morning. I had the opportunity to speak with Senator prior to joining you this morning, and I was very impressed with your passion and enthusiasm for the field of agriculture. So a special welcome and thank you for being with us today. I want to start this morning just by taking you all back some years, back to the year 2000, or in fact, just for the months before the year 2000. Do you remember the turn of the millennium and all of the anxiety that was around the Y2K bug? So we were all worried that what would happen? Would the world as we know it stop? And many of us stayed up to see what would happen. But as it turned out, The computer systems did not crash, nor did satellites fall out of the sky. The world as we know it did not end. The fact was that companies and organizations worldwide checked, fixed, and upgraded their computer systems and took the proactive steps to avert disaster. Interestingly, many people may not have known about it, but in June of that same year, representatives from 189 of the 193 countries that now make up the United Nations had gathered to try and avert risks from some other problems that were impacting the world. They chose to focus on 8 of the most pressing issues that were to be addressed, and these became known as the Millennium Development Goals. Aiming to achieve them all by the year 2015, goal number 1 was simply this: to eradicate extreme poverty and hunger. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't have to state the obvious about the given deadline, but as the year winds to a close, the United Nations has already completed its status report on the Millennium Development Goals. To the credit of member countries, which includes Trinidad and Tobago, a number of successes have been achieved. As far as the eradication of poverty and hunger is concerned, the UN notes that the proportion of undernourished children in developing countries has fallen by almost half since 1990, from 23.3% in 1990 to 1992 to 12.9% in 2014 to 2016. This is commendable. Yet, ladies and gentlemen, there are over 790 million people globally who still live in hunger and poverty. Out of that, there are more than 90 million children under the age of 5 whose growth is stunted because they do not have enough to eat. This stands in sharp contrast to what we are seeing in the developed world, where obesity, and in particular child obesity, is rapidly increasing. The answer to both situations is not just an increase in food production, but an increase in producing nutritious food. And so, with the culmination of the 15 years that were allocated for achieving the Millennium Development Goals, the United Nations met in New York just days ago, September 25th to 27th, to be exact, to address some of the more urgent issues that are currently impacting the world. The UN has now adopted the Sustainable Development Goals, 17 objectives that are set to be achieved between the years 2016 to 2030. High on that agenda is goal number 2, to end hunger, achieve food security, and improved nutrition and promote sustainable agriculture. A tall order maybe, but Atlantic is of the view that every small step is a step in the right direction. Through our sponsorship of this Atlantic UTT National Agricultural and Enterprise Training Program, we can help our country, and by extension the world, achieve this goal. And you have your part to play. We want to encourage you to emerge from this course with the mindset that you are global food producers, helping to reduce world hunger and contributing to world health by making nutritious food stock available and affordable. Atlantic originally became involved with this program in 2010 when we engaged with the University of Trinidad and Tobago to provide the course for the benefit of the people of Point Fortin and environs. And I must thank UTT and the staff of UTT for their invaluable support over these past going on 6 years of this program. We couldn't do it without a good partner like UTT. But by 2013, we saw the need to expand the reach of this program to the wider community. And so here we are today, in 2015, welcoming a new cohort of what I understand is over 40 persons from across the country, ready to embark on the path of agricultural entrepreneurship. You will be joining the 124 agricultural entrepreneurs who have successfully completed this program in previous years. This course has been created to provide you with the tools you need to make your vocation into a profitable business enterprise. This 12-week program will include training modules to enhance your skills in business and financial planning for agriculture, computer technology, marketing, and ethical and social responsibility as an entrepreneur. I encourage you to adopt these professional approaches in your agricultural practice. By applying the lessons learned, you increase your chances of becoming more profitable. Know that your success as a food producer will contribute to the economy of Trinidad and Tobago by helping to reduce this country's food import bill and providing local consumers with fresh produce that is easily accessible and affordable. Ultimately, this program will equip you to take your place as a food producer, not only in the local context, but internationally. Throughout the program, keep reminding yourself of the bigger global picture as you learn and improve your skills in your field. As food producers, understand that every time you plant a seed or tend to your livestock, you will be doing your part towards achieving that sustainable development goal to end hunger, achieve food security, and improve nutrition, and promote sustainable agriculture. As United Nations General Secretary General Ban Ki-moon said, we have a big, bold agenda before us. Now we must work to make it real in people's lives everywhere. You have an important role to play in the global village that is planet Earth, and today you start that journey. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of Atlantic, I wish you every success, every step along the way, and thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Caroline Toney, Vice President, Atlantic. Just want to recognize the head table again and members of the audience. In our midst, we have CEO of Seafood Development Company, Ms. Nalini Suklal. We have CEO of Namdevco in our midst, Mr. Ganesh Gangaprasad. Director of Livestock, Mr. Kal Khan. Director of Sugarcane Feed Center, Mr. Rajkumar Singh. Also in our midst, senior members of the corporate UTT staff, members of the media as well. Before we move to the other item on the program, I just want to point out that sometimes the biggest barrier to entrepreneurship is not structural, it's psychological. And I was listening to Senator in the boardroom not too long ago, just before we came here, and you could sense his passion about how he feels about this particular program and in agriculture in general. And when we talk about psychological, it's essentially mental. The idea of entrepreneurship, you can learn all kinds of Excel spreadsheets and financial analysis. When it gets down to can you convert to an enterprise development, it's emotional, it's passion, it's mental. Some of those things you will really need to draw on as you move from seed to harvest, from harvest to market, and then enterprise development. Some of the best ideas we know doesn't come from the boardroom. It doesn't come from the laboratory. It comes when you're at the dark side of a moment in time, when you're worried about your reputation, when you're worried about the next rent, when you're exposed, you're forced to think of a solution. That's the criteria that breeds entrepreneurship. And you're going to be calling on some of those characteristics not too long from now as you expand your enterprise a little bit. Moving on again with the next item on the program, no stranger to the academic field, head of UTT, chief academic, president of UTT, Professor Diane Narayan Singh.
Thank you very much, Dr. Zamir Mohammed, assistant vice president of our professional education unit here at UTT. Senator Avinash Singh, Parliamentary Secretary, Ministry of Agriculture, Land and Fisheries, and we have to get accustomed to the changes in this name from food production, right? It was at one time Ministry of Agriculture, Land and Marine Resources, so we have to get it right, right? Ministry of Agriculture, Land and Fisheries. Mrs. Carolyn Tony Sergio Ramnarayan, Vice President, Corporate Operations, Atlantic. Our specially invited guests, our chairpersons of various agriculture-related organizations, and I see a number of them, very familiar faces over the years. Members of the media, and most importantly, really, are the participants of this basic computer literacy course and agriculture training enterprise program. A very special welcome to all of you. Members of the media, ladies and gentlemen, very special good morning. I really want to, first of all, extend a very special welcome to the new kid on the block, so to speak, Senator Avinash Singh, right, our Parliamentary Secretary in the Ministry of Agriculture, Lands and Fisheries. Very special welcome to UTT and to the Agora campus. And we're having a short chat prior to the start here. And, you know, obviously that as soon as he saw me, he hailed, "Prof, how are you doing," right? Not realizing that, in fact, he visited my office many times down at UWI when I was Dean of the Faculty of Science and Agriculture. We had very useful discussions. So it's nice to know we have colleagues in the ministry, right? So when we call upon assistance for UTT, we welcome with open arms, a very special welcome. And we look forward to a very close cooperation between UTT and, in fact, all the ministries of the government working hand in hand as a national university. This is our strategic objective. UTT is an entrepreneurial university. I want to start off this because this is what this whole program is all about. And therefore, it's very unique among universities. If you go into the internet and you check on the mission statement of universities, I think that UTT's mission stands out to be an entrepreneurial university geared to spawning entrepreneurs, develop industries, and create wealth for the benefit of all its people, in a nutshell. And this is really what we are all talking about now in Trinidad and Tobago. And this is embedded more than 10 years ago into the UTT's mission statement. And it's something that we live, the entrepreneurial mission. And UTT, Senator, it's the only university in the Caribbean, I think, if I'm subject to correction, that has an incubator. All our students are required to come up with business ideas, and we screen them, and those which have potential, they go into the incubator. Because a lot of our good ideas from our young students, when they go out there, they tend to fail because there isn't a support system, so they're getting this. And UTT is the only store that I know of that has an outlet for the products developed by the students at our airport. So do you know that we have an airport store, right, at the Piarco International Airport? So UTT is living its mission to be an entrepreneurial university. I thought I would mention this at the start. And what we are witnessing here is, again, another strategic priority of UTT. And we firmly believe in the triple helix approach to social and economic transformation of our society. And by that I mean simply, if we are going to have meaningful transformation of our society, both social and economic, the public sector cannot do it by itself. The private sector cannot do it by itself, nor could the educational institutions do it by themselves. It makes sense, isn't that so? It's only when these institutions could come together in what is popularly known as the triple helix approach to development would we have meaningful and sustainable development. And that is what we are witnessing right here. But as I mentioned to Senator earlier on, that what we need is a fourth dimension to this approach to development. And that is, we need the community-based organizations. You cannot leave them on the development process. So I am an advocate of the four-legged stool approach to economic and social transformation. The public sector, the private sector, the tertiary level institutions, and the community-based organizations, and that is what we have here today. So I think that UTT is in the right approach. The three primary functions of UTT, I want you to listen to this. One is to produce the human resource, the appropriate human resource, both in terms of numbers as well in terms of the future demands of our stakeholders. So we are not simply producing the human resource, but it must be appropriate human resource. And we must be able to anticipate that future need. And that's one of the roles of UTT. But secondly, and very important, is as a national university, we are supposed, through our various activities, our research, our development, to find solutions to problems. We have a number of problems. The agricultural sector, food security is a big challenge. So UTT must find or work with the partners to find solutions to that. And the third one, which I have never heard mentioned anytime we talk about the role of a university, and this is what we want at UTT to do, through our various activities, to be able to keep our people one step ahead of our competitors. If we don't do that, we cannot survive in this ruthless, global, technologically driven society. We have to be one step ahead of our competitors, otherwise we are not going to survive. We'll become importers rather than exporters. So this, to me, are the three crucial roles of a national university especially, and it is, in fact, in our new strategic plan 2015-2020. The greatest challenge facing the Caribbean, and I include Trinidad and Tobago here, is indeed food security. Those of you who have been listening to the international news and also the local news realize that we are in for a global recession, whether you like it or not. This is reality. And the first thing that governments look at when you have economic recession is food security. Once you can feed your population, then you're going to avoid unrest. Everything else takes second fiddle. So food security is very critical in all countries. And Trinidad and Tobago is no exception. Again, if you look across the world, United States, the number one priority is national security, followed by food security. All over the world, food security is of paramount importance, and we, therefore, in Trinidad and Tobago, has to ensure. But by simply saying that it's supposed to be important will not solve the problem. We ourselves, all the players, must come together and ensure that we have meaningful and sustainable food security. So the first priority must be to be able to feed our people at a reasonable cost and, of course, taking into account the nutritional value of the food. Trinidad and Tobago's food import bill at the moment is in excess of $4 billion TT dollars. That's a staggering amount. And yet still we are hearing about increased food production, but the import bill is increasing. And it is no secret we have been talking for years now about the binding constraints to food security in the region and Trinidad and Tobago. Most of my colleagues would have been hearing about the JAGDEW initiative, right? And the binding constraints. You know, the former president of Guyana who was asked to lead this initiative, and it's all there in the literature. What are the binding constraints to food security in the region? And I'm not going to reiterate them here. But one of the problems is that the aging farming population that we have in the region. This is how do we encourage our young people to get into agriculture? And one of the problems is how do we attract what is now called the net generation, NET, right? The internet generation, or what you call the Y generation. Because how do you see agriculture? How do your colleagues see agriculture? This is very important. We see it as labor intensive, as a side job. Isn't that so? We look for our core activity and we see it as a side. But if we go on like this, then we cannot. And the reason for this is, so how do we get our net generation, our new generation, interested in meaningful and sustainable agriculture? And what I'm saying here is that we now have to tell our young people, the message has to be loud and clear, that KFC is agriculture. Just think of it. Mario's is agriculture. Rituals is agriculture. Agriculture is not simply going into the field early in the morning or late in the evening and selling your raw material in the market. It's not going to make sense. And therefore, we have to see agriculture along the entire value chain. As we say, from the field to the plate. That is what agriculture is about. And then, and only then, will it have some significance and attract our young generation. But you have to be provided with the tools to be able to effectively do that. And that's why this training program here this morning is so critical. Because the methods we use today along the entire value chain, the world is changing. I have to really address you at such a rapid pace that what we do today and the way we do things today becomes irrelevant tomorrow. Literally becomes irrelevant. And therefore, you have to constantly retool yourselves. This is very, very important. Whether it's in terms of production, primary production, whether it's in terms of product development, everything is changing. And as I keep saying whenever I go, that a generation today is 2 to 3 years. And this applies to all of us. A generation today is 2 to 3 years. It's not 25 years as we, grown up to believe. And therefore, we become outdated, irrelevant, and we have to retool ourselves. So I want to commend, Atlantic here for helping in this retooling process. And we all have to retool ourselves if we want to be competitive. And nobody owes us a living in the world today. If we cannot compete actually in our market, you have to see your market, and we are talking about that this morning, as 7.5 billion people. I'd like to repeat this, but you as budding agripreneurs, is a term that I have coined, right? Agripreneurs, I've been using it 2 years or 3 years ago. That's what you are, right? You have to see your market of whatever product or idea you come with as 7.5 billion people, and using all the technology to access that market, and it could be done. It could be done. If we don't do that and think of our market as, at the side of the road with a little stool and a hut there selling something, we are not going to move forward as a nation. And I want to instill that. And when you tell the younger ones when you go home this evening, tell them that. This is what we have to start doing. Letting our people realize that, and we can compete. But we have to look for those things which are unique, right? Our unique selling point can make the difference in the market today, and use all the technology. And the training program is going to help you doing that sort of thing. And UTT is available. And I'm asking the head of our business, entrepreneurship and business development unit, where our incubators, that if any of you want to come in and have some ideas, we will welcome you into the incubator unit to get further enhanced training that you require to be competitive in the world today. So Navin, he's somewhere around, right? I'm telling him that we have to expand it not only to the UTT students, and Senator, anyone in your talks, we have these ideas. We are going to talk about product development. So today I'm particularly pleased to see before us a number of your active agricultural entrepreneurs, your agripreneurs, who are about to commence the basic computer literacy and agricultural enterprise training program. And it's my sincere hope that the skills that you take away from this program, as well as the future work that you do, will redound to your own personal benefit and that of the agricultural sector of Trinidad and Tobago. Innovative farmers, and that's what you are those who operate in a globally focused business environment and concentrate on doing business. In general, there's a strong need to improve the level of entrepreneurship in agriculture, and this program and others of a similar nature are avenues for us to forecast and plan ahead to capitalize on initiatives that can propel the agricultural industry forward. Today we have about 35 to 40 farmers who have registered from areas including Moruga, Pinal, Point Fortin, Matura, Sangre Grande, Arima, Aruca, Santa Cruz, and Couva. Persons whom I'm sure will go on to impact this sector positively. And as I said, that UTT, as a national university, is not concerned from where you come from. Whether you're from the hills of Laventille or the plains of Caroni, or from Charlottesville to Caracas, UTT is here as a national university to serve its community. I'll just try to catch on. The 13 modules that you are going to be exposed to today, financing your business, the financial plan, Microsoft Access, and the entrepreneur, and developing the business plan will certainly assist you in fueling your overall agribusiness criteria in a practical, real-life setting. During this course, you'll be given the ability to develop your business ideas into operational business plans while developing and improving your computer technology skills. This technological exposure will be of tremendous value as you go forward into the future agricultural endeavors or plot a new direction for action. And as I keep saying, we are living in a world today where the first person, a baby, literally a baby, greets in the morning is not mom and dad. That's outdated. The first person, in inverted commas, that the toddler greets in the morning is the gospel according to Google. Isn't that so? That's what, before the mom and dad holds a bill, they are on Facebook or Twitter, on the internet. That is reality. And this program is training you to use that tool as the older generation, right? So that you can now compete. We have to have what you call this transfusional knowledge transfer from the older generation to the younger generation and the younger generation to the older. Transfusion of knowledge, right? This program, of course, is in keeping with UTT's mission, as I mentioned before, as an entrepreneurial university. Indeed, ladies and gentlemen, this is not the university's only investment and contribution to the agricultural landscape of Trinidad and Tobago. We have a number of programs in biosciences, agriculture, and food technology, and I see here the head of our BAFT unit, that's the Biological Sciences, Agriculture, and Food Technologies, Dr. Birjmohan. And in fact, last night I sent him a PowerPoint presentation I made since 2009 about the future of the agriculture sector in Trinidad and Tobago. And I asked him, we'll be discussing this. So we have a number of programs in addition to these training programs, outreach programs, right, in food technology, and we aim at product development. We also do the traditional, agricultural technology, animal, livestock production, crop production, etc. So we do offer a number of programs, and there are a number of research activities. Right now we have developed a cooperative program with Nestle geared at increasing milk production in Trinidad and Tobago. This was just a couple of weeks ago, again, emphasizing the triple helix approach to national development. So again, in closing, I want to express my gratitude to all who have contributed to making this training possible. Our Ministry of Agriculture, our Atlantic LNG partners, the PEU unit, right, the tutors, etc. So we want to commend all of you who are working very hard behind the scenes to make this a success. I urge all of those who are about to embark upon this journey to do so with dedication and hard work. Nothing comes easy. And as Warren Buffett said, that the recipe to success is in 3 simple words, FIP. I want you to be highly focused. You have to be innovative, and whatever you do, you must do it with a passion. You must be focused, innovative, and do it with a passion as if your life depends upon it. That's the only way success is going to come. Again, I want to thank everybody and look forward at the end of this closing session, when I will try to come back and hear from you, what you have achieved. And I'm asking again the UTT staff, the academic staff, to do a tracer study for over the 5 to 6 years that we have been running this program to see what impact we have made to date on food security and what changes we can do to the program, and probably work with Atlantic to see if we can modify it to constantly improve on the way we do things. As I said, that the future is our business, right? And this future cannot be a linear extrapolation of the past. Too often we're using the past methods to project into the future. We cannot do that sort of thing. So, again, I want to wish you every success, and we look forward to hearing your story at the end of this training program. Thank you very much.
Thank you, President. Sorry. The President mentioned the word incubator. I just thought I'd elaborate a little bit on it. I see Inshan is here. Inshan has been doing some pioneering work on the U Start program. and just for our practitioners, some of the facilities that can be available to you. And I hope that sometime during the program that Inchan can make some time to talk to you about such facilities that are available. Business plan, pitch development, proof of concept. So you have a little idea, but you don't know how to formulate it. Those are sort of assistance that we can provide. Support for grant funding, for expansion and stuff like that. We could help you along to secure some of that kind of stuff. Market assistance, market research, that is also available. Legal and compliance regulations. If you're going to grow, there's some kinds of legal issues that you have to sort out a little bit. Finance and accounting, how to keep your books and stuff like that. How to face a bank or a financer to raise some money. So I'm hoping that during the life of the program that you would make yourself available, at least to expand on what opportunities that they are eligible to access through your U-Start program as well. President also mentioned the concept of tracer. In discussions with Atlantic, I'm very happy to inform that this being the 6th cycle, we're already in the field with a scientific tracer study for cycles 1 to 4 already to get an idea of program impact. And what are these people doing now, having gone through cycle 1, 2, 3, 4, and stuff like that. And who knows, in the second tracer study, a year or 2 from now, we'll be coming to you as graduates to find out where are you, how has your business grown, what new products have you formulated, what new packaging criteria have you done, and stuff like that. So it's not a come here, do some classes kind of stuff, go out and stuff. We don't let you go. Okay, so we're still talking to cycle 3 and cycle 2 to find out where they are in terms of an impact study as well. In fact, the impact study is being coordinated by our quality assurance unit at UTT as well. Okay. To introduce Senator, I had the privilege of meeting and chatting some of us in the boardroom prior to coming down here. And as I mentioned before, this is a field guy. This guy, feet is on the ground, and appropriately in agriculture as well, literally. He speaks very comfortable, and he is very comfortable, as he told us, in a tall boots, a jeans, and a straw hat. That's the kind of, himself a practitioner as well, apart from formal training and all the other academic credentials, which is public knowledge. He is a field person who brings together this level of passion and reality to the farming and agriculture fraternal groups as well. Today, he wears a suit. Today, he makes policy. And today, he makes policy for agriculture, lands and fisheries. Please welcome Parliamentary Secretary, Senator the Honorable Avinash Singh.
Thank you very much, Chairman of today's proceedings, Dr. Zamir Mohammed, Assistant Vice President, Professional Education Unit of the University of Trinidad and Tobago. My former professor, when he was wearing a different hat, Professor Dayan Narayan Singh, President of the University of Trinidad and Tobago, who I think deserves a round of applause for his passion for this industry and carrying the sector forward. Vice President of Operations, Atlantic, Ms. Carolyn Tony Sergio Ramnarayan, and she specifically told me not to call her whole name, but I think she deserved that. I see we have some stakeholders present in our midst. CEO of the Seafood Industry Development Company, Ms. Nalini Suklal. CEO Namdefco, Mr. Ganesh Gangapasad. We have persons, Mr. Kalkan from Livestock and the Livestock Products Board. Sugarcane Feed Center is represented by Mr. Rajkumar Singh. The University of Trinidad and Tobago corporate staff, Atlantic corporate staff, program instructors, participants, main people, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen, I bid you good morning and welcome to this facility. I also would like to bring greetings on behalf of the Honorable Minister of Agriculture, Land and Fisheries, Senator the Honorable Clarence Rambarat. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my honor and pleasure to join with you this morning to preside over the official opening of this very important training program. Allow me to commend the University of Trinidad and Tobago for undertaking this endeavor, as well as Atlantic LNG for their sponsorship and commitment to the promotion of sustainable business development. The Ministry of Agriculture, Land and Fisheries, and indeed the agricultural sector on a whole, we are very delighted by this program because of the role that the agriculture in Trinidad and Tobago's economy needs at this point in time. And I must say, the approach needs to be overemphasized because we really need to concentrate in agriculture. Trinidad and Tobago is endowed with rich deposits of oil, and it's, as public knowledge, it's we are the leading Caribbean producer of oil and gas. However, given our current economic strain, our government has embarked on diversification efforts that place strong emphasis in the agricultural sector and the manufacturing sector. Until now, agriculture has only accounted for about 0.5% of our gross domestic product, the GDP, although the sector still directly employs some 3.8% of the population. As a farm-rich nation, it is our government's belief that agriculture should act as a significant base of our economy. And in my opinion, a country that cannot feed itself is really insignificant in the international arena. You must be able to be self-sufficient and at least feed yourselves. However, despite the availability of resources and opportunities, agriculturists, especially the smallholder farmers who dominate, have been greatly constrained in areas of training and development. As the Ministry of Agriculture, Land and Fisheries, we are quite clear on our role, not to be producers, but to create the policy that guides the development of the sector, as well as provide the support and services that create and support the opportunities for the evolution of this sector. The goal of agricultural governance as one of achieving efficiency and equality in the delivery of various services for agricultural development. It is also enshrined in our Constitution of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, and is described very clear and unambiguous terms. Good governance further requires partnership between government and institutions and private sector for participatory, transparent, accountable, and equitable service delivery and development. My friends, Trinidad and Tobago's agricultural sector is at a crossroad, and it is up to the 21st century farmers to direct this country on the sustainable path. As it stands, there are not enough interested young persons to inherit farming as an occupation. Some are even calling this a time of crisis for Trinidad and Tobago farming community. It is up to you before me to turn this challenge that we are faced with an opportunity. I myself was faced with challenges many of you sitting before me now personally face, because having gone through the educational system, having graduated in the University of the West Indies with a double major in environmental and natural resource management and agricultural science, typical young professional looking to go out in the job world and be employed, that didn't happen. In 2011, I took that decision to concentrate my efforts, my responsibility to country, because I always had that level of passion and patriotism to Trinidad and Tobago. And I saw it fit to get involved into agricultural production. And yes, field man as they call me. But I stood by years of experience and traditional methods at my own farming operations at home. You see, there's a mindset now. In fact, this mindset have really gone through the system and our structure, our culture, is that agriculture is traditional, old methods, a lot of old people involved in farming. I see my friend Jensen from Deep South, and you know exactly what I'm talking about. You're not finding that level of participation from young professionals. And prior to the start of this event, having conversations with all the honorable dignitaries on the head table, it was clear and it was evident that you have young people now, young professionals moving away and looking at more white-collar jobs and so on. So we need to put emphasis, and it is the government's role and function to place that emphasis in the farming population and the stakeholders to build that policy, to give you the strategic approaches to have a successful business opportunity. So having looked on the current landscape of agriculture in this country, I said there's no other profession for me. And that is why I chose to be a professional agricultural consultant and farmer with pride, I must say, because I was drawing the attention and the incident because going to the U.S. Embassy recently to renew my U.S. visa, when I went up at the counter, the first question the gentleman asked was, "What's your profession and what do you do?" Typical young professional now coming out of UE, I slide across my farmer's registration card. And I was amazed because people in front of me were turned down, families in front of me were turned down. And this gentleman, looked at me and he said, "Oh, you're a farmer." He said, "What do you produce?" I say, "Well, sweet potato is my main crop." And then he went on to say, he likes sweet potato, you put it in a microwave, 2 minutes and it's a complete meal. And then he said, "Enjoy your vacation." He didn't tell me how much he stamped on my passport. But 3 days after, I was extended to 10-year US visa. And it paints a picture, ladies and gentlemen. As Professor said, first world countries and developed countries, they place emphasis in the agricultural sector. Food security and food and nutritional security is very important in these countries. And that little incident there, I always share in almost every platform or every conference or every delegation that I am a part of, because it paints that picture, the respect that these countries and these first world countries give to the farming population. So that is my personal story in terms of why I became so engrossly involved in agriculture, and I want to implore and applaud all of you young people and all of you professionals, whether you are young now or old. Thank you for coming on board this program, and thank you for showing interest, because you are the future. Oil and gas, well, you all could follow it in the stock exchange, you all could follow it in the media, and so on. We need to concentrate on agriculture. Ladies and gentlemen, with that being said, farming in our country cannot continue as it has in the past. Our ministry, like the University of Trinidad and Tobago, has also acknowledged this and has designed several training and assessment programs with either internal certification or Caribbean vocational qualifications. Through these programs, all interested persons can obtain introductory agricultural training and certification. I was a graduate of YAPA, and having gone through YAPA, phase 1, I was taught practical approaches, and one example I could turn to is while at the University of the West Indies, while it was not only theory, the practical approaches to the agricultural sector is very important, because you have to be in the sector to get an appreciation for the sector. The ministry is currently in the process of designing a framework that will provide business and technical startup services where your agro-business ideas can further develop and refine, as well as provide the financial and resources. That is what we are here for. The ministry is here to provide that facilitated environment, and your ideas will become reality. This directive will embody our government's farm-to-table mandate that brings the entire value chain process to you, the agri-professionals. And when you say farm-to-table, Professor mentioned it as well earlier. When you think farm-to-table, it's much greater and it's much more elaborate than just thinking down the lines of agriculture. You're talking about education, you're talking about training, cultivation, maintenance, harvest, post-harvest, packaging, marketing, sales, even recycling. All these activity is opportunity. Opportunity for agri-entrepreneurs. So it's not just going to the field and farm. It's that whole business model where persons, we are looking for that. We're looking for persons to get involved. That is where and I'm coming to that, that is where the money is. When you talk about agriculture, you are talking about a business opportunity, but you want to see profitability. You want to see dollars and cents at the end of the day like every other business. And this model, the farm to table, we will be investing in this model for you, the stakeholders, to benefit. With this new initiative, we would like to invite the University of Trinidad and Tobago to work closely with us to bring this to fruition. Ladies and gentlemen, you before me, you have a unique advantage. You have the opportunity to learn about the business aspects of farming from innovation. People not conforming to tradition, as I mentioned earlier. The benefits derived from this program will equip you to not just be a farmer, but a businessman, an entrepreneur, specializing in this dynamic and exciting agricultural sector. This program is a stepping stone, not only to benefit your farm, but to open doors for you to engage in manufacturing goods from your products and holistically encouraging agricultural tourism. You are the future. And one personal example I could also draw, a couple of years ago I was in the US, and this restaurant was serving a nice pepper sauce, Baron pepper sauce. When I looked at the bottle, I saw St. Lucia. So I said, Caribbean opportunity. And having tasted Caribbean pepper sauce, and we all could boast on our pepper sauce too. The scorpion pepper, and Professor just identified earlier another pepper that will be coming on the market very soon. That is the hottest pepper in the world, Professor. So we are looking forward to that, that information and education, because we have potential. We have a few products and a few commodities that we don't need to produce high volume or high quantity, but the quality will give us the value-added prices that we are looking for. My friend Jensen could talk with respect to cocoa and the entire cocoa initiative, in fact, final flavor cocoa in that industry. Small qualities, small quantities, good quality, good prices. So, ladies and gentlemen, this, farming will need to mean something different to our generation that it did to our parents and our grandparents. We need to look at farming differently. Whereas we appreciate the traditional methods and we appreciate the experience and from our grandparents, our parents, and generations before us, we need to try and turn that now into a model that we could use in this 21st century, a model that we could put into our inputs. And I have tried to do that. I've done that in my operation by taking the traditional methods that my parents would have bestowed on me, my grandparents, and use technology, because the technology is there. When you look at Israel, the rainfall, and you monitor how much rainfall they have in Israel, it is amazing to know the level of food they produce. They are 100 years more advanced in agricultural production than us. We have rainfall almost when we need it. Sunlight, 365 days per annum, and yet what we are doing. So we really need to, concentrate and not just, have business as normal. It's not business as normal. We need to use the technology. We need to, we have so many models to learn from. So farming will need to mean something different to our generation. And the mere fact that you are here today, ladies and gentlemen, shows that you embrace both tradition and innovation. So disregard the stigma of farming simplicity. Forget that image of straw hat and hot sun, and embrace the corporate facets of this diamond we call agriculture. And I've said Trinidad and Tobago is a jewel that needs some polishing. And I think agriculture is an opportunity that needs some polishing, but it has significant implications and benefits to you, the stakeholders. It is my belief and indeed my hope that this training will go a long way in building competency, efficiency, and confidence in this demanding area. So I urge all participants to be very attentive and benefit from this career improving opportunity. take this training seriously so that the knowledge and skills acquired can be translated into meaningful development of the agricultural industry and country as a whole. And while you are at it, make sure to always have that level of patriotism. You are not just doing it for yourselves, you are doing it for your country. When I produce food, I don't just say it's producing food for Central. I produce food for all persons in society, all of Trinidad and Tobago, with the expectation of having some exported. So I know NAMDEFCO is listening to the export part of it. I also would like to suggest that the University of Trinidad and Tobago and Atlantic take this amazing initiative that they have started, and I know they started it in Point Fortin, but I implore to carry it to the communities that might not have the ease of access to this program, but can benefit greatly from it. And I refer specifically to rural strong communities such as Moruga, Kamutu, Mayaro, and Toko, to just name a few. The Ministry of Agriculture, Land and Fisheries stand behind the credence of Farmers First, and we will offer any and all assistance to make this vision reality. I once again thank the University of Trinidad and Tobago and Atlantic LNG for this foresight and for choosing to support the Agri professionals in this noble cause. It is my ardent hope that all stakeholders present will gain useful ideas and replicate them in various businesses, opening a whole new world of opportunity for agri-businessmen and women. So, Professor, without further ado, I would like to declare the training officially open. And ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for being part of this innovative change in the way we do business and giving the stakeholders the tools to really go out there and produce. Thank you again, and may God bless you, and may God bless Trinidad and Tobago.
Thank you, Senator. You could sense the passion and the feel to the ground from the senator as well. Again, making policy this time around. We move on with the program, and we understand that we're going to lighten up things a little bit with a small item. Mr. Arthur Peters from our Academy for Performing Arts will do a small rendition for us. repeaters. Before I ask Diane to bring some formal closure to the program, just on a personal behalf, Senator, I want to thank you for coming. Tony, as always, extended family to UTT, and for your continued support as well, participants. And without some of the people who don't always make the list, but equally and critically important, Shireen and her team, Sierra as well, who has worked behind the scenes to make all of this thing happen on the Atlantic side. Again, extended family to Ian, probably somewhere around from Atlantic as well, going a long way to make all of this happen for the sixth time, okay? Our relationship with Atlantic as well is not just in agriculture, just for the sake of relationship building with industry. We do all their maritime coordination training program. We do all their operator training program right here as well. So it's a long, fruitful, and eventful relationship that we do have with Atlantic as well, and hopefully will continue to be that way. Thank you, Tony, as well. I'll ask Diane, Business Development Officer at PU, to bring some formal closing remarks to this proceedings.
All protocols observed. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It is my privilege to propose a vote of thanks on this occasion, the opening ceremony of the 6th Agriculture Enterprise Training Program. As I look at this audience, I'm encouraged by the new breed of agripreneurs who combine their love of farming and agriculture with an acquired professional business approach. There is a strong need to improve the level and quality of entrepreneurship in agriculture, and this program was developed to address this crucial need. We have more than a few persons to thank for this opportunity. I would like, first of all, to express our profound gratitude to Senator the Honorable Avinash Singh, Parliamentary Secretary in the Ministry of Agriculture, Land and Fisheries, for being with us on this occasion. Your gracious presence at today's function is a source of great encouragement. We're also extremely grateful to Ms. Caroline Tony Serju Ramnarayan and the team at Atlantic for their continued vision and commitment towards sustainable development in agriculture enterprise. The presence of the Livestock and Livestock Products Board, the National Agricultural Marketing Development Corporation, the Sugarcane Feed Center, and the Seafood Industry Development Company Limited speaks volume as we propel the agriculture industry forward. We're also very fortunate to be backed by a team of very motivated and dedicated facilitators to whom we say thank you. To the members of the print and electronic media, thank you for attending today's ceremony. Many thanks to the chairman for today's proceedings, Dr. Zamir Mohammed, for guiding this program along effortlessly. To the supporting staff at UTT, who contributed to today's success, I also say thank you. And finally, to you, the participants, we wish you all the best as you engage in the activities of this workshop over the next few months. We trust that you will find it very rich and rewarding. Thank you. All the best.
This brings us to the formal end. There are some light refreshments outside. Feel free to mingle and help yourself to something to eat outside. Thank you very much.